In this lesson, we're going to see how we can create a render for an interior scene. So in the previous video, we concentrated more on an exterior setup. In this one here, we're going to go inside and we're going to see what techniques, what tools, what add-ons we can use to create a quick and nice render in Blender. Now, right now, I'm rendering with cycles real time. So I just want to show you something real quick. You can see here I have set up 4 views interface, and I think this is really good when you're working with well, either interiors or exteriors, because you can see all the objects that you are placing, and this is like a plan view in architecture, and I can change the position of lights, cameras. I can also work with objects, materials. So this one here you can see is the camera, and I can definitely see it. I can see where it's pointing at. I can rotate it from here easily. I can move it around. And one thing I want to add actually here in the camera settings is the depth of field. Now with the depth of field, I can put something in focus and something out of focus. You can see here I've selected with the picker, the focus object, clicking on the table. And now if I decrease the f-stop, I can increase the blur effect. So you can see that. And I'm also using denoiser right now. So we're going to talk in this video a little bit about render settings, a little bit about materials, lighting. So we're actually repeating what we saw in the previous video for exteriors, but interiors are just slightly more complex than exteriors because you have more lights to handle, to manage. We're going to see also an add-on for that. So right here, I'm also using some different render settings. So the render settings that you can define are right here. So in render properties, we're using cycles because that's the most advanced render engine in this version right here. And then we can set up here the noise threshold. So the lower is this number right here, the better will be the quality because it's going to get rid of the noise. And then you have samples. The higher is the samples number, and then the higher is the quality of the rendering, but also the slower and the longer it's going to take. And this is the denoise. When you add the denoise, right away it's going to get rid of the noise. But if the quality is too low, it's also going to get rid of many details. So be careful not to use the denoise too much. You need to increase the quality, but you need to increase it according to the power of your machine. So if you have a powerful machine, you can increase all these values. Now you can see that these are values for the viewport, so anything that happens right here. So this is another reason why I split in 4 views, and I show you how to do this in the first videos of the video course. Because we have a smaller portion here to render. We don't have a big render, we have just 1/4 of the screen to render, and it's going to be better and lighter for your computer. And then here you have the render settings. So this is when you run the actual render here, when you do render image. Now you also have render settings right here. You can adjust, again, the maximum samples, the minimum samples, and the noise threshold. And you also have here the time limit. So you can define a time limit. You can say, okay, I would just want to spend like 5 minutes on this, no more than that. No, this is 5 seconds, so I'm going to type 5M. This is going to be 5 minutes. So when it's going to reach this time limit, it's going to stop, however it's going to be. And also here you can apply or not the denoise. So you can see that we have a nice clean rendering. I'm going to talk about lighting, how you can set up natural light, which is essentially the sun and the sky, and the spotlights and other interior lights. And well, the rest is just importing assets inside. And I mainly use Blender Kit in this course. So all these objects here, you can search for them in Blender Kit. So if I'm going to search for here the table, and you will find that table right there and those chairs, also the fridge, the kitchen, and the bookshelves here. We made it before with some modifier, with the lattice modifier. And the room also is from the previous video. Now, before we continue, I want to do a quick tour of all other options that we can have when we have a 3D scene and we want to do renderings, we want to do animation, we want to do interaction like virtual reality and create like level design for video games and all sorts of things. So we're using right now Cycles in Blender, which is, I think, a really good rendering because it improved a lot, it evolved a lot, and the latest version of Blender showed the really powerful results that we have, really outstanding results in Blender. Now, another option is Octane for Blender. So for this, you have a specific version of Blender, and you will find a video course of these and also the others that I'm going to show you in the channel. So if you're interested in becoming more professional and if you want to have more tools, more features, when you want to do materials, when you want to do lighting, when you want to do rendering, you should check Octane Blender and other render engine out there. Now, the most popular, the most used probably is V-Ray. You can use V-Ray in many different applications like SketchUp or Rhino and so on. And I think also in Blender. So you can stay in Blender also using V-Ray. Then you have Corona, which is kind of a simplified version of V-Ray, and you can use it in Cinema 4D and 3ds Max. And also you can see the outstanding results. And all of these are used in architecture, interior design, and so on. Another option is Vantage. Now, Vantage is the basically I don't know, like user-friendly version of Corona and V-Ray, and it lets you concentrate only on managing the lights, the HDRI, the scene, and everything you need to manage about the render. So it's really simple to use, and it's better if you have a V-Ray scene that you can import and then you can work with that, and it's going to be really light and fast. Now, another one is Enscape, always from Chaos Group. This is really fast if you want to do quick renderings, quick animation. It has a lot of props, a lot of assets that you can use for exteriors, for interiors, and also it has, they all have like ray tracing way you can render, which is like more advanced. So you have like a real-time render, which is faster and a little bit more approximate, and then you have like ray tracing render or well, path tracing, which is kind of similar, and they are more realistic. And this also goes for Unreal Engine. But with Unreal Engine, you can do also interaction. You can do virtual reality and you know, turn off and on lights. You can change materials real time. It's like a video game. So it's essentially created for video games, but you can use it also for architecture and interior design. Now, the smaller brother of Unreal Engine is Twinmotion, which uses same technologies of Unreal Engine, and it's easier to use. Again, it's going to let you create fast animation, fast render, especially I suggest this for exteriors. And then you have, you can see here a lot of props and assets as well. It's just like similar to Enscape, but it's kind of a little bit bigger. And then you have Lumion, which is even bigger, and you have more props, more vegetation, more skies, and more whatever. So it's kind of the ultimate package for exteriors and also animation. And you can do also a little bit of interaction. Now, this is a quick tour of what we can use with our rendering. Now, in terms of setting up the interior scene, now the first thing you need to do is get rid of anything that you don't need. So if I just unhide everything here, let's use Alt-H to unhide everything. So you can see, and this is the clipping of the camera, by the way. So that's also something that you can use, the clipping of the camera, but just get rid of everything you don't need. Now, this is everything we did in the previous lesson about landscapes and scattering, distributing objects. Now, all this stuff needs to go because it's too heavy and we don't need it. So we just need here the ivy that we created also previously, and all the rocks here, the grass, scattering. I don't want to get rid of the sun because I can use the sun also in interiors. So the sun and the sky that we also discover, and also the HDRI, the IBL, image-based lighting, can all be used in interiors. So you don't need to get rid of that, but anything else that doesn't appear in your view needs to be deleted. So figure out what your view is going to be, and everything else must go. You can see here how I created easily this really simple architecture. And now I just need a room in here. I don't need anything else. So everything that is not in that room is going to go away. Now the room is